The book of Enoch unveils a vision few dare to imagine, not just of angels or light, but of the structure of heaven itself. 10 layers, 10 realms, each one more mysterious than the last. Enoch was taken there alive, not in dream, not in death, but in spirit by divine command. His journey was not for curiosity, it was a calling. This account is no fantasy. It's a revelation buried for centuries, now rising again to awaken those who long for more than this world. And let me be clear, this is not about glorifying angels or exalting visions. This is about God, the one who governs the heavens, weighs the souls of men, and writes eternity with his own hand. By the end of this video, you will see why Enoch's vision was sealed and why it's resurfacing now. Enoch walked with God, and he was no longer here, for God took him. Genesis chapter 5, verse 24. Let us follow him. There comes a time in history when heaven breaks protocol, when God himself pulls back the curtain and chooses one man to see what no eye has seen. Enoch was that man. While the world around him grew dark with corruption and the giants of Genesis walked the earth, Enoch walked with God, in silence, in reverence, in righteousness. The scriptures say he was taken, but what does that mean? Enoch walked with God, and he was no longer here, for God took him. Genesis chapter 5, verse 24. Not merely lifted, but chosen. Not merely shown, but initiated. The book of Enoch reveals that this was no simple rapture. It was a divine mission. Angels descended and called him by name. They clothed him in light and said, "You have been found righteous before the Lord. Now rise and see." Enoch was not dreaming. He was fully awake, body still on earth, spirit carried into the heavens. Each heaven opened to him like a door within a door, a wheel inside a wheel. Picture this: a sky burning gold, a chariot made of wind, and a man being pulled through clouds like scrolls into a palace of silence and fire. He passed the firmament. The stars no longer flickered above him, they sang beneath him. He was entering realms reserved for judgment, for justice, for glory. And all of it began with this: one man walking faithfully when the rest of the world ran wild, one man listening when others cursed, one man waiting, and God answered. Why Enoch? Why then? Because the earth was filling with violence, because the sons of God had defied their order and taught men secrets never meant to be known, because judgment was coming and someone needed to see it first. Enoch was not chosen for power, he was chosen for purity. He would witness the structure of heaven and return to warn those still on earth. This is where the journey begins. What if God asked you to see beyond the veil? Would you dare to look? As Enoch rose through the heavens, the first realm opened like morning mist, soft, glowing, and silent. But what he saw there was not peace. It was a warning. The first heaven was beneath the clouds, a place between earth and the stars, where angels stood guard and watched the movements of mankind. Here, Enoch saw prisons, vast, dark, silent, prepared for the rebellious, not for humans, but for spirits. These were the fallen ones, the watchers who had defiled the daughters of men. Their eyes, once bright, now hollow with shame. Enoch was terrified, but the angel beside him said, "This is justice, but it is not yet the end." Then came the second heaven, a realm of violent storms and roaring winds. Here, Enoch witnessed a war in the skies, hostile spirits chained in gloom, crying out not in repentance, but in rage. They had once dwelled in light, now they waited in shadow for the final judgment. The third heaven, this is where the air changed. It was lush, alive, vibrating with beauty. Gardens more radiant than Eden, trees bearing fruit of light, rivers of milk and honey flowing with song. This was the reward of the righteous. The place of the just is reserved for eternal peace, the angel told Enoch. And yet, beyond a great abyss in that same heaven, he saw another realm, a place of darkness, ice and punishment. Souls who had rejected righteousness now awaited their sentence in sorrow. Before the great throne, the angel said, all will be weighed, but the righteous already shine. Enoch was overwhelmed. He had seen in just 3 heavens what most never imagined: angels guarding, spirits raging, souls resting, and others trembling. This is the moment where you and I must pause, because what Enoch saw is not just history, it's your future, my future. Each heaven is not merely a place, but a verdict. Which heaven holds your name? Like this video and subscribe if you're beginning to see the weight of these revelations. We're not here to chase myths, we're here to seek the truth and the one who holds it. There are still 7 heavens to explore, and each one draws us closer to the throne. Have you ever asked, what will be waiting for you beyond the veil? As the 3rd heaven faded behind him, Enoch was lifted higher into a realm unlike anything he had seen before. The light here was not gentle, it was sharp, searing. The atmosphere was filled with the sound of movement, great orbits, pulsing winds, silent power. This was the 4th heaven. Here, Enoch saw the sun and moon, not as distant orbs, but as living creations, each escorted by angelic hosts. The sun, blazing like molten gold, moved in obedience to divine command. The moon, silver and watchful, passed through its phases under the guardianship of appointed angels. Enoch saw the calendar of heaven, days, seasons, years, not as human measurements but as sacred rhythms established by the Most High. He wrote, "I saw the storehouses of the winds and the paths of the sun and moon, according to their divisions and times." Compare Enoch chapter 72, paraphrased. Imagine seeing the heartbeat of time itself, but the 5th heaven told a different story. Here, Enoch encountered beings that did not rejoice. Angels stood in silence, their faces downcast. These were the Grigori, the watchers who had not fallen fully, but had rebelled in part. They were not chained in darkness like those in the 2nd heaven, yet neither were they free. They mourned. Their voices rose like smoke, repentant, aching, but restrained. They had once watched over the earth, and they had failed. "Why do they cry?" Enoch asked. The angel beside him said, "Because mercy has not left them, and justice has not yet answered." There is a lesson here, one that burns. Even celestial beings made in brilliance can fall. Even they who once stood before God must face the consequence of disobedience. But even here, there is the echo of hope, because repentance, even in the heavens, is not unseen. And if angels can weep for mercy, what of us? Have you ever thought that your regrets were too great, that your past disqualified you from grace? Enoch saw a place full of divine silence, where sorrow spoke louder than rebellion, and he was not told to flee. He was told to remember, there are heavens where justice rules, and there are heavens where mercy waits. Comment below with the phrase, "Mercy remembers me." That's your password today. If you feel the weight of your own journey, write it as a prayer, and share this video with someone who needs to know no fall is final. We are halfway through heaven's structure. The most sacred realms are still ahead, and Enoch is still climbing. What will he find when the throne appears? Above the heavens of judgment, above the layers of time and sorrow, Enoch entered the 6th heaven. Here the silence was different. It was not heavy like in the 5th, nor violent like the 2nd. It was reverent, alive. Every movement, every breath was worship. This heaven pulsed with order, not rigid law, but divine harmony. Enoch saw ranks of angels, countless, radiant, each with specific roles. Some recorded the deeds of men, others guarded the gates of stars. Some shaped the destinies of nations with a whisper, and others sang. Yes, here Enoch heard the sound of worship not made by man, a chorus that shook the heavens with praise. No words he could recognize, only purity and vibration, light wrapped in sound. He wrote, "I saw angels who carry answers to prayer, angels who write the names of the righteous, and angels who bring healing to the earth." These were not like the morning watchers. These angels were in full union with God's will, and their joy was unbreakable. One angel approached Enoch and said, "Do you know why you were brought here?" Enoch, overwhelmed, could barely speak. "To see," the angel said, "how heaven remembers holiness." This is the heaven where the prayers of the saints are gathered, where the sacrifices of the faithful rise like incense, where every act of obedience echoes in eternal halls. Imagine this, a massive chamber made of crystal, stretching beyond sight, filled with scrolls and flame. Each scroll holds the story of one soul, written in fire. This is not fantasy, it's prophecy. It means no tear you've cried in secret is forgotten. No step you've taken in obedience is wasted. No silent act of faith goes unseen. And Enoch, standing there, could only bow. The sixth heaven is where wisdom dwells, not the wisdom of men, but the design behind all things. The why behind the stars, the reason behind every trial. Have you ever asked, does God see me? Have you ever wondered if your prayers go unheard? This heaven is the answer. He sees, he hears, he remembers. Let this truth move you. There is a heaven where your faith is recorded. And one day, what you whispered on earth will be sung in that realm forever. What if every choice you make now is echoing in that chamber? We are about to cross into the holiest territory of all. The next heaven holds the throne and the one who sits upon it. Are you ready to see the center of all creation? This was the turning point. Everything Enoch had seen, the prisons, the gardens, the stars, the choirs, was preparation, because now he entered the seventh heaven, and nothing could have prepared him for what stood there. It was not light, it was not color, it was not even presence, it was dominion. Here, the foundations trembled with a holiness so overwhelming that even the angels covered their faces. Enoch saw thrones, millions upon millions, each one radiating glory, each one occupied by holy beings of unimaginable power. But above them all, one throne towered, not made of stone, not of fire, but of purity itself, and upon it sat the Ancient of Days. The text is brief, because the moment defies words. Enoch does not describe God's face. He could not. What he records is trembling, adoration, majesty so fierce it silences thought. It echoes what the prophet Daniel saw centuries later. As I watched, thrones were set up, and the Ancient of Days took his throne. His clothing was white as snow, the hair on his head like pure wool. His throne was flames of fire, with wheels of burning fire. Daniel chapter 7 verse 9. Imagine that throne now, not in vision, but in arrival. Enoch was not consumed. He was not cast away. He was called forward. A voice like thunder said, "Because you have walked in righteousness, you will now be called scribe of righteousness." And there, before the throne of God, Enoch was anointed, given authority to write, to reveal, to prepare the earth for what was coming. This is where the mystery deepens, because Enoch was not just witnessing heaven, he was becoming part of heaven's plan. This throne is not far from us. We imagine it in the distance, but the truth is, it governs our every breath. Have you ever felt that the world is out of control? Have you ever feared that evil would win? Remember this throne. Remember that God is not pacing, he is seated. And judgment will come not with panic, but with perfect timing. Enoch stood in that throne room as a man, and he left it with a calling. You and I may never be taken into the seventh heaven, but we are invited to believe in the one who rules from there. Let that truth change you. We have seen the center. Now Enoch is taken deeper still, into realms not of judgment, but of design. What holds together the seasons, the galaxies, the destiny of souls? It's time to enter the next layers, where mystery turns to motion. Beyond the throne, beyond the great council of the holy ones, Enoch was lifted into realms that few prophets ever dared to describe. The eighth and ninth heavens were not only places of glory, they were the systems of divine order. Here, Enoch saw what he called the chambers of the constellations, the storehouses of snow and wind, and the mechanisms that govern the rise and fall of kings and empires. It was as if he had entered the inner workings of creation. The eighth heaven, he wrote, held the changing of seasons, the motion of stars, and the registry of heavenly decrees. This is where the calendar of God was engraved, not on paper, but in starlight. Angels assigned to each phase of time stood guard over the instruments of heaven. Great wheels turning with silence, each rotation marking a divine event. Picture this. Giant orbs made of crystal, slowly revolving within one another, casting shadows across galaxies. A whisper in one sphere would echo across dimensions. This was not chaos. This was not chance. This was design. And in the ninth heaven, Enoch saw the foundation of time itself. Not clocks, not years, but the why behind it all. Here, destinies were not decided, they were revealed. Every soul, every nation, every moment, woven into patterns only God could read. Enoch stood in awe. He wrote, "I saw the heavenly tablets upon which the fates of the righteous are written, and the paths of the stars, and the orders of the seasons, all according to the will of the Holy One." This is where prophecy is born, where no secret is truly hidden, where your life even now is known, fully, deeply, eternally. Have you ever wondered why things happen when they do? Why some doors open and others close? The answer might be written here, in a realm where time bends before God's voice. But here is the wonder. Though the eighth and ninth heavens are so far beyond us, their influence touches our lives every day. When the tide shifts, when a prayer is answered, when you feel the need to change your path, you are hearing echoes from this place. You are not drifting through random space. You are held in a pattern older than the stars. This is why Enoch had to see these realms, so we would know that heaven is not guessing. Heaven is governing. We are one, heaven away from the holiest sight of all. The 10th heaven does not hold stars, or scrolls, or silence. It holds the face. Are you prepared to witness what Enoch saw there? There are places words should not go, and the 10th heaven is one of them. Yet Enoch was brought there not by his merit, but by God's will, and what he saw he could barely describe. This realm was above all others, not in distance, but in holiness. It was not made of matter or light. It was made of presence. The 10th heaven was the dwelling place of the Most High, not his throne, not his creation, but him. Here there were no angels, no choirs, no constellations, only the eternal radiance of God himself, unveiled. And yet Enoch stood there, not in arrogance, not in confidence, but in complete surrender. The text says, "I saw the face of the Lord, like iron made to glow in fire, and it was impossible to look upon it, but I was made to endure it, so I could speak to men what I had seen." Try to imagine it, not just brightness, not just power, but absolute truth, undiluted, undeniable. In that moment, Enoch saw everything, the beginning, the end, the judgment, the mercy, the Lamb slain before the foundation of the world. He saw the book of life, he saw the names, he saw what was written and what was erased. There are no lies in the presence of God, no masks, no shadows, only reality. And in that place, Enoch was not destroyed, he was transformed. This is the great mystery. The closer one gets to God, the more they disappear, and yet, the more they become who they were truly made to be. Have you ever feared meeting God face to face? Not just knowing about him, but standing in front of him, unfiltered. The 10th heaven reminds us, one day every soul will, every heart will be weighed, every thought laid bare. This is why Enoch's journey matters, because he returned, not to boast, but to warn, not to mystify, but to invite. The holiness of God is not meant to crush you, it's meant to awaken you. The fire that blazes in the 10th heaven is the same fire that purifies the humble. It is the fire that fell on the altar. It is the fire that Christ bore on the cross. And Enoch saw it all. Now you have seen it through his eyes. So let me ask you, if you were taken today, what would be written next to your name? There is one heaven left to reach in this life, the one that opens when a heart turns fully to God. Will yours? Enoch returned from the 10 heavens, not with pride, but with urgency. He had walked where few would dare. He had seen judgment, mercy, order, and glory. And what he brought back was not a map. It was a warning, a promise, a call. The vision was never meant to entertain, It was meant to awaken. Each heaven revealed not only God's dominion, but the destiny of souls. In the first heaven, Enoch saw the prisons of rebellion. In the third, the paradise of the righteous. In the fifth, angels weeping over lost glory. In the seventh, a throne too holy to name. In the 10th, a face that sees everything. And now you have seen it too, but not as Enoch did. You saw it as an invitation, because your journey has not ended. It has just begun. This is not about ancient mysteries. This is about your soul. What will your name be written beside? Will it echo in the scrolls of the 6th heaven? Will it be sung by the angels of the 4th? Or will it fall silent in the chambers of judgment? There is still time to decide. The heavens are not far. They are closer than your next breath. And the one who reigns from the 10th heaven walked among us, taught us, died for us, and opened the way to enter in, not by visions, but by faith. Enter through the narrow gate, for narrow is the gate and difficult the road that leads to life, and those who find it are few. Matthew chapter 7, verses 13 and 14. Enoch was taken up alive. You are still here so that you might choose. Don't let the vision fade. Comment below with the phrase, "The heavens are open for me." Let it be a declaration of faith. Share this video with someone who's searching. You never know whose name may be written next. Subscribe to Bible Stories and Mysteries and turn on the bell so you never miss what heaven is still revealing. Because the vision of Enoch was not just his story, it is now part of yours.